Well, good morning. You remember I was telling you, or at another truck stop already, first thing in the morning, 7 o'clock in Pennsylvania, just getting ready to go into Ohio. But remember I was telling you not to stop too close to another vehicle. No closer than you can see their rear tires. Here's that front overhang on this bucket truck crane. That's a good 3.5 foot, maybe 4 foot, and it's for good reason. It's because this crane is tall enough, 110 foot, that if you worked it over the front axle, this thing would just end over end on you. So that front outrigger is to keep that thing from tipping over forwards. But if you can't see that from the driver's seat at all. I'll show it to you. If you come any closer than what you can see, you're going to smash into something. Now, here's the view from inside the cab, and there's no way you can see that, even if you stood up, that you can see that bumper out front, that 3.5 foot. So if you stop shorter than that, so that on a vehicle like you would a car, pull right up behind somebody, you'd slam into them. I only say this out of experience because I thought I had control of the situation and rolled right up behind a truck and bam, right into it I went. So a tough lesson learned. So here we are leaving the truck stop. Let's see if we can make it in between these fuel pumps. You can see, you darn well better know the size of your vehicle. Now, you're going to have to bear with me on this documentary because I truly love telling stories. My mom did, my mentor, Son of Guade on the reservation did. Son of Guade had a saying that I always try to live by: never screw up a good story by sticking too close to the truth. Well, I'm going to stick as close to the truth on this story as I can. It's got nothing to do with the front end that we were just talking about. This has got to do about digging your heels in and getting the job done. Now, this story goes back to when I was about just a little over waist high. We were 10 kids in our family. My mom was quite the wildcat and drove a 1966. Now, can you see that truck in front of us? If I pull up so I couldn't see, I'm right there in danger of hitting him right now because I can't see his rear tires. Let's go back to the story. She drove a bright red 1966 Oldsmobile Delta 88 convertible with white tuck and roll upholstery. God, it was beautiful and fast. Well, one night she decided she's going to the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, Tennessee, and we lived just south of Montreal at the time. So she loaded about 4 of us into this convertible in the middle of the night, and we took off for Nashville. Now, I'm just a little kid and I don't realize Nashville, it felt like about 3 weeks away. We rode forever. But we just get into Tennessee when it looked like we're going to make it before the weekend, when all the singers and celebrities were there. She was trying to find Hank Williams to meet him, and so we drove forever and ever. We just get into Tennessee and it looks like we're going to make it on time when we want to meet everybody. And right in the middle of the night, out of the darkness and nowhere, this big old 8-point, fairly young buck jumps out of the woods, starts running down the road, probably about 4 car lengths in front of us. On the 4-lane, we switch over, and we can't be doing more than 80 or 90 miles an hour. We switched lanes to the left lane, and at the very last minute, this idiot deer jumps over to the left lane, loses his footing, and goes right down on the pavement. My mother jumps on the brakes. Ain't no way around him. At the last second, he slides, falls down on the road and slides right under the front of her car. We hit this deer, and it goes up underneath the front end of the car. And so bad it raised the car up. We were pretty low to the ground. It raised the car up and lost control of the front end, the steering. Well, luckily enough, we slid down the road, seemed like forever, and finally slid off to the side of the road with the car partway in the grass. But the front wheels still weren't very well touching. While we went out and looked at it, the deer is like bundled up underneath this car. There wasn't any such thing back then at AAA, I don't think. But anyway, looks underneath the car, and so my older sister says, well, let's try to push it off, let's back it up, let's do something. It was too far under to get a hold of the deer. So we tried backing it up, we tried driving it forward. That deer would not come out from under that car. And we weren't going any place with a deer stuck under our car. So my older sisters, I had 8 sisters, and one brother that turned out to be a sister. But anyway, one of my older sisters said, "That's it, Mom, no way we're going to make it. We can't get the deer out from under there. We don't have enough money to call a wrecker. We're not getting it out of there without a wrecker. Let's give up and go home." Well, my mother didn't say a word. She got everybody back in the car, rolled the windows up. She said, "It's time for a nap." I didn't really understand it at the time, but we knew enough not to question my mother, as she had a fiery temper. So he laid down for a nap, and after about an hour, she jumps up I'm sorry, let me back up. My sisters all pretty much were convinced it's time to give it up. We'd gone forever, driven forever, almost out of money, and it's time to give it up and go home. She said, "No, I'm not through fighting yet. Let's take a nap," which, like I said, was very puzzling. We all laid down, took a nap for about an hour. All of a sudden, she jumps up, says, "Get the jack out of the trunk." Well, there's no bumper jack in those days, so we get the jack up out of the trunk, and just luckily enough, somebody had been cutting wood, and there were some trees that they'd been cutting for firewood. There were some lengthy pieces of wood. She jacked up the car and made us kids go out and carry these pieces of tree up out of the ditch. She put the pieces of tree underneath the bumper of that Oldsmobile and then let the jack down, because we couldn't reach the deer from where we were. And what we could reach was just pulling off pieces of fur. She says, "Get back in the car, we're leaving." We had no clue what's going on, but we jumped back in the car. She slammed that Oldsmobile into reverse, and the front tires aren't even hardly on the ground. That car rolled backwards off the trees and kept it high enough that the deer partially came out from under that car. She backed it up, kept backing it up till the deer popped out. She threw it in drive, and away we went to Nashville. It just had, I thought the old lady was crazy for sure, but that story haunted me forever, and I've used it in forever. Now, one example of that, the wife and I we're hauling a truck, and we're pretty much going to Salt Lake City, Utah, and we had come out of Buffalo, New York. We got into Fargo, North Dakota, where we're going to drop this one truck off and pick up another one. So we're really replacing a truck that had broken down. And we're taking the broken down one and the bucket broke down, not the truck, into Salt Lake City to be repaired. So we're driving along, and all of a sudden in the wintertime, as you realize, Mother Nature comes through and it starts snowing. Well, it starts snowing about Chicago, a nice wet nasty snow, and it did not stop till we got all the way into the Dakotas. Anyway, we got in towards Fargo, North Dakota, and it started raining ice. State police took us off the interstate, and we're only 10 miles away from dropping this stupid truck off. So they took us off. We go to a hotel. It's New Year's Eve weekend, so there's tons of traffic on the road. West of Fargo, about 15 miles away, is a 90-car pileup in the morning. There's 90 cars on the interstate slammed together on New Year's Eve, and we go out and we're going to, because everything is glare ice, we're going to start the car, make sure it's running, and go get something to eat just about a mile down the road at a restaurant. We turned the key and nothing happened. I mean, absolutely nothing. And I said, oh, the batteries are dead or something. We opened the hood and it is just solid flush with snow. Except for the hood place. You can see the hood is in the snow. But that engine, from being dragged behind that wet, muddy truck, was solid ice and snow underneath that hood. It wasn't even about to begin to run. And now it's about 8 below zero, so it's frozen. The wife breaks out in tears and says, that's it, I quit. We're just going to stay in this hotel till spring. We're done. Now, from somewhere inside of me, and I don't know where, I turned around, looked at her, and goes, nope, I'm not done fighting yet. Let's go take a nap. Well, she, like I did with my mom, thought I was completely out of my mind. She wasn't going anywhere anyway, so she went in and we took a nap for about an hour. And in that nap, it hit me. Well, I'm sorry. Right after we find out the car is frozen, we go in and call our AAA to get a wrecker out there to come out and jump start us. And the guy said, yeah, we'll get to you as soon as we can. I've got over 200 calls up in front of me, so I should be able to get to you by a week from Wednesday. I'll have a truck there, hang on. So the wife cried and said, I quit. And I said, I'm not done fighting yet. We laid down, took a nap for about an hour. In that nap, for whatever reason, my subconscious gets this brainstorm. So I go into the motel hallway, and there is some maid out there turning over rooms. I steal as many of the hotel towels as I can, take all of our towels, heat the shower up blistering hot, throw the towels in the hot shower, then I wring them out, carry them out, put them all over the top of the ice and snow in layers, as many as I can get on there, and shut the hood. I come out in about a half an hour and half of that ice is melted, and the towels are right down almost on the motor in places. So I pick up all the towels, take them into the shower, heat them up again, take them out, put them on the car. In a half an hour, that car started just like it was summertime in Miami. Now, here's the point of this long, boring story. I don't think it's boring, but anyway, here's the point to it all. In transporting, you're going to come to the point where there's no way out. There's no way to get where you want to go, or get saved, or get out of the ditch, or whatever it is. Anyway, any human on this earth in his right mind, or even not in his right mind, would give up at that point and just quit. What you've got to do is learn to take a nap or a deep breath and sit down and think about it, no matter how lost you are, and give your subconscious a chance to think of a solution. And I'll be danged if a dozen times in my life I haven't come up with a solution to get us onto the next truck or whatever. I guess if there's any any unfun part of that story. Do I got enough time to tell you? I don't have enough time to tell you. I'll tell you in the next chapter.